Hello, my name is Calzare, and today I'm going to be teaching you about the Warmonger hero. I had this character ever since he was DLC, and I'm going to show you the combat mechanics of this character, as well as the defensive strategy that you can use to fight as this character. Now, the Warmonger is a very strong hero because she can initiate her bash from a light on block, and she can also initiate it from a dodge, just like the Warden. She has the ability to do 3 levels of bash, allowing you to mix up your opponent better. She has a very fast zone, and her feats are very strong. So we're going to start by talking about Warmonger's maximum punishes. On a light parry, you could get a top heavy for 32 damage. If you're out of stamina and you get a light parry, you could get a regular light for 12 damage. On a heavy parry next to a wall, you could get a parry counter for 10 plus 20 bleed damage. Or you could get a heavy parry into a light to initiate your claw mix-up for 12 damage. Or you could get a zone attack for 13 damage. On a guard break, you could get a side heavy for 29 damage. On the guard break, when you're out of stamina, you could get a regular light for 12 damage. On a wall throw with or without stamina, you could get a top heavy for 32 damage. On a parry when the opponent is out of stamina, you can get a zone into a top heavy for 51 damage. And if you throw the opponent, is the same punish, so a zone into a top heavy for 51 damage again. When there's an opponent out of stamina and you parry him, you can also do a parry counter if you want to regain your stamina. You're going to do a little bit less damage at 30 damage, but you're going to regen your stamina. Okay, so now we're going to talk about Warmonger's Praying Claw. So she has 3 levels to her Praying Claw. Level 1, Level 2, and Level 3, which is the fully charged one. Tapping the guard break button during Praying Claw gives you Level 1, holding it and releasing it gives you Level 2, and holding it all the way gives you Level 3 Praying Claw. You can also feint the Praying Claw very early, or you can feint it very late. Now, how do you use Praying Claw in a fight? Well, if the opponent dodges as soon as he sees movement, you go for a guard break. Now, if the opponent is stoic, you go for a regular level 1 bash. If the opponent tries to dodge your level 1 bash, you go for the fully charged level 3 bash, guaranteeing you 32 damage. If the opponent tries to dodge your level 1 bash, you can also do a bash and then feint it into a guard break to punish the opponent. If the opponent tries to dodge roll your claw mix-up, you feint it into a forward dodge heavy. And you want to do this quickly on prediction because if you don't, your opponent is going to have enough time to recover from his roll and block. Against a character with a dodge attack, feinting into guard break is not going to work, so you should feint into a parry and get the heavy attack punish. Against bash characters, you're going to have to do your level 2 bash instead of feinting into a parry. Alternatively, you can also feint your bash and then go into another dodge bash to punish the opponent's dodge bash. Now, one thing to keep in mind is that when you do your level 1 or your level 2 bash and you do your light finisher at the end of the bash, you are in frame advantage, meaning that your attack will come out before your opponent's attack will. Same thing goes for the level 3 bash. After the heavy, you are at a frame advantage, meaning that you can hit the opponent first. Now, the main way that a lot of Warmongers go into their Praying Claw mix-up is by doing it from a light rather than dodging into the opponent, because it's a lot more safe. However, the drawback with doing it after a light is that a lot of opponents are going to be fishing for light parries. So in that case, you do your heavy and you feint that into a light so that you can get access to your claw mix-up. If you do it that way, the opponent is going to have to think twice before attempting to do a light parry. Also, when you do land your light, sometimes you land your light and you go for your claw mix-up. Sometimes land your light and then go into a second light and then into your claw mix-up. And one other thing, when you go into the claw mix-up, sometimes you can also feint it into other side lights to confuse your opponent even more. And when you use all of these techniques that I just mentioned combined together, you're going to make sure that the opponent does not know what you're going to do next. Now, speaking of lights and heavies, Warmonger can access her chain lights and her chain heavies from multiple attacks. She could do it from her zone. She could do it from her forward dodge into the heavy. She could do it from her side dodge into heavy. And she can also access her chain attacks from her running heavy. Okay, so let's talk about Warmonger's side dodge heavy. A lot of people think that Warmonger's side dodge heavy is worse than her side dodge bash because it is slower. but her side dodge heavy is more damaging and it allows you to dodge a second time. So let's look at some footage to clarify what I mean. Now, if we play that footage again, we can see that I dodged the Highlander kick with my first dodge, and then I used the side heavy to dodge his caber toss. And this option select can also be used against other characters, such as another Warmonger trying to do his praying claw mix-up. Now let's talk about Warmonger zone attack. So if you press light and heavy at the same time and the opponent lets his heavy go, you get a parry. And if he decides to feint the heavy into anything, you get the zone attack. Try not to do this too often as you will become predictable and the opponent is going to start baiting out your zone attack. Now, not only does Warmonger zone have a very good speed at 500 milliseconds, but it also has a very good range, allowing us to punish opponents who try to miss attacks in front of us. Now here is a situation where an opponent, in our case the Highlander, would want to miss an attack in front of us. So Highlanders go into offensive stance by missing their lights. And if we get closer to this Highlander and we see him miss his lights on purpose to access offensive stance, we can punish him with our very fast zone. Now, how do you deal with other opponents that are far away from you or opponents that are running away from you? You could try to hit him with the feintable forward dodge heavy, because it has very respectable range, or the running heavy because it has a lot of range and insane tracking. Alright, so now I'm going to be talking about Warmonger's feats, and I'll explain why they are so strong in Dominion and Breach. So her first unique feat, Corruption Blade, applies a coating of poison on your sword, and when you hit an opponent, the poison goes from the sword to the opponent, and every teammate that's near the opponent gets damaged, including the opponent that you applied the corruption on. Elixir of Corruption simply heals you when you hit a corrupted target. Power of Corruption deals more damage to a corrupted target. And Corruption Blast is basically a area of effect attack that puts corruption on all nearby enemies. Now, the reason why Warmonger's feats are so strong is because when you're in a gank and you have Corruption Blade or Corruption Blast, and you apply it on an enemy or multiple enemies, they have to scatter away unless they want to be killed very fast. So you could pretty much deny any type of gank, and you can have a 1 versus 1 against the target that you deal more damage to and that you heal from. And you can also put corruption on an opponent, and if they run into their minions, they will get damaged and their minions will get one hit killed if it's the minion, and they will get damaged over time if it's breach. Alright, so now is the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed watching it. If you liked the video, please consider giving it a like and subscribing to the channel, and check out some of my other guides. I have other guides for different characters on this channel, so please check them out. And for the time being, I will see you in the next video.